everybody, it's Heather. Today I'm going to start making an art doll. It's something I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm going to make a soft-bodied doll to start with. And I've got various ideas of other dolls that I want to make, but I'm going to start simple, and I may even use one of the illustrations that I've already got. Or I may paint on the fabric. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. But what I'm going to do is start by making myself a template, and I'm just going to recycle this cardboard box, which is actually a cereal packet. So I'm going to just cut this up, and then I'm going to do a quick sketch so that I've got a template to cut out. Right then, so I'm just going to start by doing a very basic sketch, and I'm thinking I want to make a big-eyed doll, so I'm thinking, because I don't know whether you know, but I'm a bit of a Blythe doll fan, and I'm actually going to make a mermaid because I've been meaning to do this for some considerable time. So this is going to be very basic. Because I want to do some basic shapes so it's easier to sew and stuff. Might make that a little bit bigger, but then reduce it in size later. Got a bit of a whale tail going on there. So, right, so what I'm going to do now is just cut that out. And then I've got a template for my soft body and head. I will have to do arms as well, I think. Or maybe I could draw those on. I don't know. This is very early stages, and I really am not sure what I'm going to do, if I'm honest. But I just had a yearning to get on with this. And I thought it might be nice if you saw the process. I'll save that bit, possibly to cut some arms out as well. So what I'll do is, when I've cut this out, I'm going to transfer this onto some fabric. I've got various bits of cotton and linen available. It doesn't match particularly well, does it? Let's make that slightly short to this side. Oh, that's terrible. Never mind, we can rectify that. It is an art doll after all, it's not supposed to be perfect. So I've got various pieces of linen and cotton. So I'm going to transfer it onto some of that, and I've decided which one I want to use, and then cut that out, and I'll probably do a bit of a seam allowance round, we'll see. Right, so this is my little art doll box. I've been saving up a little bit of stash ready to do this. Now this is a gorgeous little box that my daughter was getting rid of. She obviously got something nice for Christmas in it and put it out for recycling, and I couldn't help myself. I thought, you know what, I'm going to alter that. So I've got that to alter in a different video, and I've got various pieces of fabrics. I want to find a piece of fabric that's big enough. That's quite thin, that's linen. And this is cotton sheeting. I do quite like the brown, but I think I'm going to save that for a different project. And I've got myself that lovely foil, which I'll be using for a different art doll. So we've got a nice big piece of fabric there. Do I need a piece that big, or will this one suffice? Possible this one might work. Oh, look at that, that's perfect, brilliant. Right, so we've got that bit, and we shall trace around that and then cut it out. This is literally just bed sheeting, so it's cotton. I think it's 100% cotton this, but often I'll use poly cotton because it's cheaper. And obviously you can use canvas or upcycled material like curtains and stuff like that. I probably should have ironed it, but I'm not going to because I'm lazy. Here we go, let's fold it in half. And this is where I really do need to, oh, there we go, look at that, super. I really probably do need to pin it or something when I am cutting it out so that I can cut it on the fold and I'll get two identical pieces then. So I might just pop and get my pegs. Right then, so I've got some supplies and I'm going to, oh, you know what, I've got my pencil. I'm just going to have to use a normal pencil. What I have decided is I'm actually going to make it slightly smaller. So I'm going to use this as an actual template rather than having a seam allowance. And I've printed off some of my doll faces and I'm going to give those a go and see if I can use those. So we shall become clear soon. So where's my pencil? Right then. The tail isn't great, but it will be fine for the first one. Right, that's fine, that'll do. Right, let's just clip the fabric together. And really, I should have brought my fabric scissors down, but I didn't. So that's clever. So I'm going to have to use these rather rubbish scissors instead. I think I'll just pop a pin in the middle of that as well. Right, so I'm going to leave that top bit as it is because I may need a small amount more fabric at the top. So that's not so bad. We're going to take this one as the top, and what I'm going to do now, I think I'm actually going to transfer the image on first. I should have made it slightly bigger, but we're going to go with it anyway. I was playing around a little bit with the contrast, but I actually think I like the original. So we're going to just cut her image out. She's going to go face down like that. So like that. This could look awful, but let's give it a go. So we're going to use some liquid matte medium, Liquitex rather, matte medium, and I'm going to get that other piece of card because I don't want to get it all over my desk. And I think what we're going to do actually, so we don't end up fusing the two pieces together, we're just going to take that back piece away and pop it there. And then we're going to find a paintbrush and we're going to put a little bit of Liquitex matte gel, matte medium on here. I'll do a nice generous amount. Now it's not going to go right to the edge because I'm going to be sewing the edge. And you do have to be careful of not getting massive hairs in. And what we're going to do is just pop our lady, our doll's face, onto there. Obviously I did go a little bit far towards the top and the edges, but that's fine because it'll give us a nice surface to play with later. Just move that out of the way. Right, and we're not leaving that on for long because we're going to lift it pretty much straight away. And oh my gosh, look at that on the back. So you could actually do it that way, couldn't you? Potentially. sort of decoupage it on the inside if you've got a thin enough fabric. That looks really cute, I like that. But we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is peel off. Oh no, that's not worked. It's not. I think I need to leave that a little bit longer. It's sort of almost a ghost image. So I'm thinking I'm just going to pop that back on again and leave it for a little bit longer. I thought while I was waiting for that to dry a little bit longer, I may as well just cut out some of these other doll faces while I'm at it, because they're going to come in handy, aren't they? These are available to download on Etsy, and you get lots of sort of variations of shade with these particular faces. So sort of I've done like a blue tone and sepia, so they're great for using in your mixed media art, on your canvases and in your art journals, and it saves you the bother of having to draw your own face. And as you know, I'm a Blythe doll fan, so the style that I have drawn them in is sort of the big-eyed girl, because that's the style I particularly like. So obviously it's a stylized picture, not a true to life, but I would imagine you could do this with a photograph if you wanted to. I've done some altered art using photocopies of my relatives, my grandma, and I think I've done some with the children as well. So you could easily use a picture of a photograph and then just photocopy it or whatever. Now these images are done on an inkjet printer for this particular technique, but if you use a laser printer, you can do transfer with laser printers in different ways. So this is just transferring using gel medium. You can also use Mod Podge, and there's also a special photo transfer medium that you can get as well, which I've used in the past. Right, shall we see if it's ready? Let's pop these to one side. I've got a feeling we're going to have to wait for it to dry completely before this works. Yeah, it's still not coming off properly, so I'm just going to leave that for a little bit longer. I think we're going to have to do the rubbing method and see how that goes. The idea is that if you leave it just till it's sort of almost dry, you can peel the paper off easier, but in this case I think I've got a little bit premature. I just need to leave it a bit longer. Well, they say patience is a virtue, and I clearly don't possess it. Right, so it's sort of almost dry, and what I'm doing now is just peeling that top layer of paper off. There's still a layer of paper on there, and that's got the image on it. So we're just going to very gently just peel away at the face. There we go. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? There's still quite a bit of paper left on there, but I watched a technique from a mixed media artist this morning, and she used an acrylic spray, like a varnish type thing, and then the image becomes sort of transparent, so it looks more vivid. So I'm just going to take off a little bit more of the paper, and then I'm going to go and spray mine with some acrylic varnish. But I'm going to do that outside, not inside, because I don't want the fumes. What I'll do is link that tutorial. Oh, I've already made a mess there, haven't I? Uh-oh. Now I am going to paint on top of this anyway, so it's not the worst thing. Should have let it dry a little bit more. Yeah, so I'll link the tutorial. Can't remember the YouTuber's name, but she's clearly a mixed media sort of person, and this is her speciality. So I'll link that below. and I shall see you in a few minutes when I have sprayed it. So I've decided, rather than spraying it, I'm actually going to just pop a little bit more matte medium on, because I realised that when I just dry brushed a little bit on, it did seem to make it transparent, and I actually really quite like the texture of the gel medium, because it makes it really nice and easy to paint on. I might even use some clear gesso. So I'm actually just going to use this rather than spray it, but I'm going to do another one with the spray method that the lady suggested. But for now, I'm just going to try and see what the matte medium, matte gel looks like if I just pop a layer of that on. I might find my clear gesso and give the body a coat of that, so that might make it nice and coated to be able to paint on top and make it a little bit stiffer. So that's, you see, that's not a bad effect, is it? I quite like that already, even though it's definitely not perfect, because I was a bit heavy handed there and took off some of the skin around her face. That's easily rectified. We can just add a little bit of acrylic paint and we're playing later on, and there's still a bit of paper showing. That's not too bad. Okay, because I barely have any patience, it's almost dry, but I'm still going to go ahead and start tacking the body around so that I can turn it inside out. So I'm just going to clip my body parts together again, and then I'm just going to use some thread and just sew around the outside edge, and then I'm going to turn it the right way round. So obviously I've got my face on the inside because I'm going to turn it right way round later on. So let's clip her head. There we go. I'm actually not going to sew the head part until afterwards. I'm just going to do the body. If I can find my sewing items. Here we go. Okay, I've turned my mermaid body the right way around, and I'm going to stuff that in a minute, and then we're going to add some paint onto the body, and I'll probably gesso it first just to sort of stiffen it up a bit. But I wanted to show you these. These are the extra faces that I did, and this one has just been sealed with the gesso, the clear gesso, so I've used that on there. Now it was very pale anyway, but actually that's not a bad coverage, and that's actually, I think that would work depending on the style of doll that you're doing. So it's not quite dry, but that was actually quite a good version. This one I used both of these, I used the high gloss varnish, the Liquitex again, and again it's not quite dry. Oh, it is pretty much. It's a lot more flexible and it has a gloss sort of finish. Now I made a right mess when I was taking the paper off, so that's not the fault of the varnish, and the varnish actually has given quite a nice glossy coverage. So again, I think that would work as well. So if you don't have any acrylic spray sealant, then I think these would work just as well. And the one that I did originally is just with another coat of the matte gel, the matte medium, and you can still see the paper on it, so that's not such a great finish. However, saying that, it's quite matte, so I think because I'm going to be painting over the top of it anyway, it's not bad, so it does work. Now I'm going to show you the one that was suggested by the YouTube video, and this is the acrylic spray, and you can see the clarity of that, how it's completely different. Now, I didn't do such a bad job of taking the paper off, but when I sprayed it, before I sprayed it, it was actually almost white with still paper on the top of it. So I've then sprayed it with the, it was a semi-gloss Rust-Oleum sealant, and you can see it's really brought out the colours. So I can see why that particular artist was recommending using the acrylic sealant or acrylic varnish, because that's actually worked really well. So that by far is the best for clarity if you wanted the colours to really pop. So yes, brilliant. I will link her tutorial below, and then you can choose if you want to do something similar yourself. Right then, I'm going to go and find some stuffing to stuff my mermaid with, and then I shall see you later on. My light started to flicker, so it might be a little while. Okay, so what I've done is add some stuffing, some fibre fill, polyfill, or whatever they call it, into his toy filling, into the tail. I think I need to add a little bit more because my tail's a little bit floppy. And then what I did was just so I did a back stitch all the way around and then turned it the right way around. But for the head, because it's a little bit stiffer because we used the matte medium, I've done a whip stitch and folded the edge in, so that's then sort of made the head shape. And what I'm going to do now is just add a little bit more of the wadding to puff it out, and I'm just deciding whether to, because I actually cut it, originally I was going to cut it as a circle, but I actually cut it so that there's a bit of a peak there, and I'm thinking that might actually be quite nice for adding the hair. So I'm thinking what I might do is sew up and sew across the top, but I'm not sure yet because I'm not entirely sure whereabouts I'm going to put the hair, but I'm going to start filling it anyway, and then sew it somewhere, so you'll see that again in a minute. So we're getting somewhere now. So she's all stuffed. I still didn't get quite as much as I wanted down into the tail, but I suppose, you know, it's going to stiffen up a little bit anyway. So she's full of polyester wadding or filling, and her head has been sewn up completely. I decided not to add quite so much filling to the head because I didn't want it to be, the fuller it got, the sort of squishier her face went. So I wanted her face to sort of retain the slightly flatter shape. So, and I really liked, actually, this was a bit of an accident, but the sort of pyramid head is perfect for adding the hair, which I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to deal with that yet, but I actually really like how that's gone. So I'm super pleased with how that has turned out so far. Obviously, I've got quite a long way to go to make it how I actually want. Not that I actually know what I want right now, but it's a really good base to start with. So I'm going to leave it at that tonight, and I'll carry on doing that possibly in another video. So I hope you enjoyed watching that and maybe following along. And do let me know if you make art dolls yourself, and if you're on Instagram or YouTube and you do art dolls, then please do put your channel or your Instagram handle down in the comments, because I'd love to check out what you do. Thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye.